Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard. I want to talk to you today about the not so toxic toxins in wheat. As you all know, I've written a book called Eat Wheat with over 600 scientific references citing that wheat may not be the poison that we think it is. Is it possible that we've cherry-picked science to suggest that wheat is actually bad, but in fact there's an underlying cause as to why we are not digesting our foods the way we should? A lot of the constituents in wheat are blamed for making wheat the new poison, but I want to talk to you a little bit about that. One of those are the phytates or the phytic acids, which are anti-nutrients. I mean, wheat, like grains and seeds and nuts and berries or beans, they are harvested or fall off the vine in the fall. They lie all winter long on the ground with anti-nutrients to protect them from bacterial uptake or being eaten by these bacteria, so they can germinate in the spring the way they were designed, right? So these anti-nutrients are generally hard to digest, and ancient people figured this out thousands of years ago. If they would soak the grain or ferment the grain or sprout the grain, it actually breaks down many of these anti-nutrients, rendering them very easy to digest. Most of the issues that folks have with wheat is processed versions of wheat or breads, not the actual whole artisan breads of the whole grain that we once had. So I get that people don't feel good when they eat wheat, but there's an underlying breakdown of the digestive system that has happened that I write a lot about, that has rendered our bodies unable to digest or break down some of these anti-nutrients. The phytic acids, for example, have been shown to, we're told that they block the absorption of minerals like calcium and zinc and iron and phosphorus. But the consensus of whether they actually cause any deficiencies in iron or calcium or bone density is actually not really there. There's studies that show that when people actually have a high grain, high phytic acid diet, that it increases their iron content in their blood by 41%. And studies show when people have a high phytic acid, high grain diet, that they don't have bone density issues at all. So is it possible that we figured out over millions of years how to make use of these anti-nutrients? In fact, some of these anti-nutrients block the absorption of sugar so they don't overwhelm the blood sugar. Some of them are designed to go into the small intestine where they actually feed good microbes in the intestinal tract, and they deliver, help the production of what's called butyric acid, which is the #1 fatty acid, which is in ghee, clarified butter, big Ayurvedic food, superfood, which is the same butyric acid that's in ghee that the body digests to support immunity and beneficial bacteria and a host of other benefits in the large intestine. So when you look at these anti-nutrients, you think, okay, they weren't easy to digest upstream, but they're also, the large intestine is waiting for them to support the proliferation of other fatty acids and the proliferation of other good bugs. Many of those bugs actually break down gluten specifically. So it's kind of very complex and very interesting, but there's good science to back that up, that these phytic acids, when they go into the large intestine, they actually increase the production of these glutenases that completely finish the job of breaking down the gluten. So do we have all the pictures? Phytic acid has been shown to reduce cholesterol, reduce cortisol, and reduce the risk of kidney stones. So it actually helps lower the amount of calcium that might be damaging in the body. It also has anti-colon cancer factors in the anti-nutrients. The other toxin, we're talking about 5 toxins that aren't so toxic in wheat. The alpha-galactans, which are very hard to digest proline epitopes of the gluten that are very difficult to digest and cause real problems. And people say, we just don't have the genetics to pull it off. Well, the science shows that we have microbes in the mouth that make enzymes that digest these alpha-galactans in the mouth, in the esophagus, in the stomach. We have an enzyme called DPP4, or DDP4, which is an enzyme that breaks down gluten and the galactans in the small intestine where they're designed to break down. And there's also really good science, like I just said, that those undigested glutens go into the large intestine where they deliver butyric acid, but also they feed microbes that actually produce glutenases, enzymes, to break down the gluten in a complete fashion. So it really seems that the body did evolve to deal with gluten in wheat over millions of years, because we've been eating wheat not for 10,000 years, but for 3.4 to 4 million years, according to new science showing that they found gluten in the teeth of early humans 3 to 4 million years ago. So we just take one of these constituents that, yes, it's bad in an isolated form. It's not the whole food, and understanding the whole that the body has evolved for thousands of years. In addition, there's the wheat germ agglutins, which are the WGAs, another form of anti-nutrient called lectins. But these lectins are on rice and beans and nuts and seeds and tomatoes. They're on everything. So are we supposed to not eat any of these grains or seeds or nuts? Is that what we're trying to do? And if you're thinking we should just eat paleo, meat and vegetables, the Harvard anthropologists tell you clearly that the paleo diet of today, meat and vegetables, there's nothing paleo about it. That they ate grains, up to 40% of their diet is grains, and tubers and roots and many, many different things, many more diverse things, and they didn't eat as much meat as we think they actually did. These WGAs, these lectins, in one study were shown to have anti-tumor properties, and researchers are looking at that as the new anti-cancer drug. So I don't think we have all the answers when it comes to understanding the complete complexity, and I know it's very complex, of how we deal with wheat in particular. Another thing is the opioids in wheat. People say the opioids, the exorphins, make us addicted to wheat. Want to go back and have another piece of bread, another piece of bread. The wheat that we eat is processed, has a high glycemic index. It's sugar that goes up and it crashes and we want more. Sugar has endorphins in it. Mother's milk has endorphins in it. Spinach has endorphins in it. Soy, fish, meat, cheese, fruit, coffee, chocolate, all have endorphins in it. And we like that. We go back for more. Is it possible that the reason why there's endorphins in wheat is the same reason there's endorphins in mother's milk, so we go back and eat it again? When we left Africa in the Ice Age, in the early evolution, when Africa was a grassland full of wheat and barley berries, and we could gather enough wheat and barley in 2 hours to feed us for the entire day, 3.5 to 4 million years ago, did we evolve to handle and digest wheat? And eating that wheat, if it was sweet, which it is, means it's not going to kill us. Mother's milk wouldn't kill us. We have that taste in our brain that sweet is good. No doubt, we've overshot the sweet runway. We got real issues with sweet. But wheat is sweet, but it isn't a poison. Wheat is a grain that we've been digesting for millions of years. They cite studies and they say, well, if you give people these opioid blocking drugs, then people stop eating their wheat significantly. If you give people opioid blocking drugs, they stop eating meat by almost 50% in one study. They stop eating foods altogether by 22% in one study and 28% in another study. So to say that just because you give an opioid blocker and people stop eating wheat means that we're addicted to wheat, well, we're talking about so many foods with opioids, and soy and spinach and fruit and dairy and chocolate and coffee and grains and mother's milk. I mean, there's just a lack of logic here. And as you know, my point is that we've broken down our digestive systems. We have to reboot that. I talk about that in my book, Eat Wheat, which is in ebook form till January, where the hardcover comes out. And I talk about how to reboot and reset your digestion, and how to decongest your lymphatic system, and how to eat wheat and break bread once again. And the last toxin is the processed, or the Roundup, the pesticides that are sprayed on a lot of non-organic wheats. We know that these pesticides will actually knock out and break down the good bugs, increase the proliferation of the bad bugs, breaks down or gets rid of certain pancreatic enzymes that we need to digest wheat with. It damages the intestinal wall, causes inflammation. I mean, unorganic foods / processed foods are clearly the culprit of the breakdown. I call it the great breakdown of our digestion. So stop eating those foods, eat only organic. And that's the first thing we can do. Stop eating processed foods, and you can look at some of the, and then you can eat breads that are sprouted or fermented, or sourdough bread, or soaked grains that break down these anti-nutrients if your digestion's a little on the weaker side, but you can also reboot your digestive strength. So please check out Eat Wheat at eatwheatbook.com. So check that out. It's pretty amazing in the book. I love it. It's got 600 references. Absolutely my best work ever. And then in January, don't miss when the hardcover gets released. It's pretty awesome. Super excited about it. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Hi, did you like this video? Do you like our content here at LifeSpa? You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/John Douillard right here and get this valuable content every week in your inbox.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at lifespa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.